Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Good morning and happy Monday, and welcome back to Inside the Game here on this 10th day of November. I'm Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wangler. That's Ryan Glinsky, our producer. It's episode number 186 here, and I know we weren't here on Friday. I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed having the morning off. Nathan, I don't know about you, but I got to sleep in just a smidge. We'll get into that in a moment. But Nathan, how was your weekend?
I didn't enjoy it at all. You want to know why I didn't enjoy it at all? Because I went to Wendy's and I got a chicken sandwich the night before, and I don't know what they put in their chicken, but sometimes it only takes one bad experience at a place in order to ruin it for the remainder of your time going there. First time I went to B-Dubs, I got their wings, and I didn't leave the bathroom for the following day. All 12 hours that I was awake, I did not leave the bathroom. Same case with Wendy's that night. Something was in the chicken, and I was not doing well. I actually escaped. It did pretty well. I got away with everything. But no, I was also jam-packed with games this weekend. So it was a busy stretch. Obviously, we had UPSL yesterday. We had Aspire Girls Academy Soccer, which was good stuff. So a lot of stuff taking up our time, but yeah. Listen, I'm not trying to put Wendy's on blast, but something was in that chicken, and it came out forcefully later that night into the morning.
Well, that's
forcefully.
That's good to know.
Yeah, very.
Again, hey, I mean, we've all had those moments. I actually I get Starbucks every morning, and I was drinking my iced latte on the way in here on Saturday, and the milk, I could taste it just a little soury. So I was thinking that maybe things could go bad. Thank goodness it didn't. But sometimes you're just like, ooh,
it'll do.
That didn't taste so good. Yeah. I finished that coffee. I mean, I hit it hard, but nothing happened on my end, which is good.
The nice thing about it being like 30 degrees out now, though, is you can leave that drink in your car and it'll be fine. It'll be perfectly good
Absolutely.
to go. Yeah, it'll be cold as hell. So that's the perks of living in the Midwest. You literally have a moving fridge.
We had a busy weekend here this weekend for NSN Premier Media Group. In total, we had 27 broadcasts. We had 12 Michigan Stars GA Aspire games here this weekend. We had Peak Performance Hockey, the Denison Cup playoffs got underway here this weekend. We had 6 games there. We had our first basketball game with Detroit Mercy. We had 2 volleyball games as well. And so a very, very busy weekend. We also had a UPSL Midwest East final take place last night. Detroit United continued their reign in that Midwest East. I don't know how many times they've won that championship or that Midwest East final, but it seems like it's been a lot. And when we were covering them early on in our existence, it was like every spring, every fall. It was Detroit United versus, at the time, was Cedars FC, and then it was Detroit United versus what. But this is some highlights from last night's game. But this goal right here, I mean, this is a thing of beauty. I know you had the call on that, Nate, but it was 4-0 was the final score. Walk us through this.
Well, yeah, there was Alex Popoff, that set piece, and he started his college career at Rochester Christian and then transferred to Purdue Northwest, so he was actually a part of the GLIAC for a little bit. But no, that was an excellent strike off that set piece, and then that just kind of opened the floodgates. There was a handball late in the 47th minute.
How many PKs this game? My goodness. It wasn't a penalty shootout. There were literally 3 PKs.
Yeah, and all of them were to the left side of the goal in practically the same spot. So I don't know how the goaltender didn't eventually, wisen up to the fact that they were trying to do that. But yeah, then this one late, Papa finishing it off the way he started it off that PK, and 5-0 victory for them. But yeah, it really started with that set piece, and then it got chippy too. I mean, it kind of got away from Duca a little bit. You can tell that these are two teams that have played against each other a billion times. You can just kind of get that sense. I remember when we were covering the NISA Pro Cup and we had that championship match between LA Force and Capo FC. You know, they're both from Southern California. You could sense just from being at the pitch and watching the way they interact with each other, like, oh, okay, like these are two groups that have played against each other multiple times. This is why this game is as intense as it is. It's why we saw red cards. It's why we saw a sea of yellow. Like Capo got one late. Same thing with Duca. And yeah, it creates an exciting atmosphere for sure, but yeah, Duca just could not hold it together in Detroit. I mean, to their advantage, they took care of it, and they were able to kind of lure Duca into some ill-advised decisions, and that's what led to obviously what we saw at the end.
That it was. We have obviously more highlights that we're going to show here throughout the show here this morning. But before we go to our first break, on Friday night, my daughter and her swim team had a chance to go battle it out for divisions, and this is basically like your county meet, right? And so this is some of the highlights of them winning the MAC Silver Championship here on Friday afternoon, Friday evening. This is the second time they've won this MAC in her 3 years of being on the team. And my daughter is a captain. She's the one wearing the cowboy hat there off in the distance. But she medaled. She had 3 medals of her own in swimming here on Friday. And her team, they call it the triple. I think they call it the name, like the tri-victory, triple victory, whatever it was. But they won their division. They won the all-league. And then they won the MAC Silver doing so here on Friday. And that's them. It was the exciting moment.
Wow.
Of the excitement, and there's the celebration continues into the pool here in a moment. But super proud of her. My daughter going into high school did not swim competitively at all, and throwing their coaches in all fully dressed into the pool and having some excitement there here on Friday afternoon and Friday evening.
That's so much fun. Yeah, well, and sometimes you got, I don't know if they have the high platforms there, but I remember being at the NAIA Swim National Championships after that wrapped up, and I remember, I think it's Kaiser University, that they're dominant at that level, but they would jump off the high platforms, and it turned into a pool party at the very end. But it's a really rewarding feeling, and it teaches you a lot to learn how to win in high school and win with a team, and those are valuable lessons. And obviously for your daughter to be captain too, that obviously shows her ability to lead from the front. We've talked about what she's done in our studio space as well. We've seen it live and in person. So congrats. That's a big honor, and it's something you carry with you for sure. Those memories you don't forget.
Absolutely. We come back here for break. We'll talk some soccer here. A lot of champions crowned here over the weekend, crowning all SEC, Big Ten, Horizon League, MAAC. There's so many to talk about. We'll get into that and more here this morning on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Welcome back here to number 186 on this Monday morning. And, yesterday, this weekend, Ryan and I had a chance to work some peak performance hockey playoff games. We had a chance to cover the Denison Cup championship game here last night as well. And during that game, we had a chance to talk about flexing and what flexing is all about.
I thought we were going somewhere else.
Oh, we're going to go into the highlights in a second, but I got to get this off my chest. I think this is an important thing. Ryan here seems to think that on some level. Now he's putting me into this bucket of older people, and while I appreciate him doing that, I think it's important to say that yesterday I wasn't flexing. Okay, I heard a young kid next to me complaining about how hard they worked this weekend, and I took it upon myself to say, "Hey, I've been up longer than you, and I'm not complaining." That was it. That was all I did. And then he turned it into this. Well, these old people flexing about how early they get up in the morning and all this other stuff. Well, then if I went the other way around, like I just said, all you young people like to complain. All right, is that how we should put this? Is all the young people like to complain about how hard life is? Life is so hard.
Everyone complains.
You have to dig it up. You got to put on your big boy pants. You got to go out and get some money, work hard, and come home and do it all over again the next day. Is that it right there? Is that it in a nutshell?
Everyone complains. Tell me one person that has never complained, and I will tell you that person's a liar.
I never heard my grandfather complain.
I think we complain for different things.
I don't think I've ever heard my grandfather complain. I think, he sat there in a chair and just kind of took life for what it was. But again, that's my experience of being his grandchild. But I'm sure we all complain on some level. As quickly as it went into this flex that I was flexing yesterday, it's like at the same time, while I'm considered flexing, you would have been complaining, right? Isn't that how that would be?
So here's what happened. We're waiting to go to the third intermission. By the way, this was our intermission talk on air.
It was great. It was great.
And I did this, and I was kind of stretched. I was like, "Oh, I'm tired." And he's like, "Why are you tired? Why are you tired?" I was like, "Well, this, sixth game of the weekend. Did four the day before, and that was from like noon to 9 o'clock at night. So, a little tired from that. I didn't sleep much. And came here early, did a game, then do another game. So, respectfully should be tired. And John's like, well, I woke up at 4 a.m. I woke up at 4:30. And then, which then paralleled me to, wow.
I don't sound like that, by the way. I don't sound like that, by the way.
My parents flex what time they wake up. My mom's like, I got up at 5:15. Well, Mom, you don't have to get up at 5:15. You choose to get up at 5:15. And I don't ask you, and I never asked.
Because they went to bed at 9 p.m.
Exactly. And John, I didn't ask John what time. He goes, well, I woke up at 4 a.m. And
I didn't ask you how tired you were.
He says, like he mentioned, like it happens more often than you think, Nate. Like he kind of mentions it, kind of throws out there. Well, I was up at 4:30. I was open at 4:30. Well, I wake up at 4:30 every single day. Like it's thrown out there. No one really asks. But my question is the listener land out there. Why do older people just flex when they wake up? Like nobody. Let me hit the horn for that. Like nobody asks when they wake up. But I was up at 5. I was up at 4:30. I was up at 5.
It's crazy. It's crazy how this has turned into somehow this thing. First and foremost, I think I don't walk around the studio just blaring out when I wake up in the morning.
You mention it. It's just thrown in there.
If there is something that happens in this studio that would maybe have me say, "Hey, this is when I get up." That might be it, and it's probably when people complain about how hard they worked or how tired they might be, and maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I can't speak to it, but I don't just walk around volunteering when I wake up in the morning. That's not something
Why is it a competition? Why can't we all be tired?
Huh?
Ryan can be tired. You can be tired. It's just saying, it's not a competition.
It wasn't like that yesterday, Nate. If it was just Ryan being tired, I can appreciate Ryan being tired. I'm not going to dispute that. But that's not how this went. Ryan goes, "I've done 6 games, John. You've only done 3." That's how this went.
No,
he turned it in. No, don't make this you made it into a competition. And so as soon as you did that, like any competitive person would do, would start to throw out as to why they would not be, or maybe more tired than you might be, and not complaining. That's what happened yesterday. You failed to mention that on the broadcast, and here we are this morning talking about it again because I brought it up because you failed to do that yesterday. You brought it up. You made it into a competition. You're like, well, you've only done 3 games, John.
Hill.
Huh?
You don't have to die on every hill. I mean, he's tired. He's tired. It is what it is. Ryan, I'll give you that.
This is the perspective. Here is the perspective that I think is important. Hold on, Nate. I think this is an important perspective. Important perspective. Just like we do in every scenario, which I think people sometimes fail to remember in this environment, is that if you guys want to sit in a chair in this studio or on any of our broadcasts, all of it goes through what I do. Like every broadcast is fully created, by me. Nobody else creates our broadcast. And so when someone is saying that and they're like, "Well, John, you only did 3." No, I created every broadcast you did this weekend. So again, I wasn't trying to flex anything until it was like, well, I've only done, you didn't do. So that's all. That was it. It was nothing more than that. And it just turned into more. And I think it's funny, to be fair. We're having a good time talking about it, but I don't take this like to heart or anything. I just it was funny how he's like, well, old people like to talk about how when they wake up in the morning. Like, no, that wasn't what this was. I wasn't trying to flex what time I got up at.
They complain about different things, Ryan Glinsky. I'll say that. Younger people complain about certain things. Older people complain about certain things.
Absolutely.
For example, my dad gets mad at me that I can't follow a map, that I put something into my GPS. He's like, you kids nowadays, you can't follow a map. I'm like, Dad, there's a reason why technology is what it is. There's a reason why it's evolved to a point to make life easier on us, right? So I don't have to follow a map. I don't have to know every single connecting street when I'm driving across the country. Like, that's not something that's necessary. You know what I mean? So we complain about different things. Let me put it that way. I think we all complain. We just complain about different things. Young people complain about certain things that are going on in the world. Old people complain about the young people complaining. And so they're just complaining about us complaining. But we're all complaining kind of in this big circle.
See, everyone complains in their own, in their own way.
Hey, again, the second
you set up the broadcast and then I knock it out of the park. All right,
that's the agreement. That's
here.
Right, and that's right.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's the whole purpose.
Hell yeah.
The second part of that, which I think is important, and this is why at some point in time, Nathan and Ryan are going to be in their 40s and having the same issue with a 20-year-old. And so I just want to make sure I remind you all of this, because it's coming.
Then I'll send you a text.
It's coming.
I'll send you a text.
when you get older, when you're in that 67-year age range, you're going to be like, hey, what up? Come on, kiddos, So anyways.
I thought it was hilarious, though.
Every generation complains about the previous generation.
Absolutely.
I thought it was hilarious that
Go ahead.
Our producer William was like just sitting there like a fly in the wall, just laughing at John and I just bicker about flexing about waking up. I thought that was really funny.
Well, it was funny. I mean, I'm like, we were in the middle of this break, and I'm sitting there going, we got to talk about this on the air. Let's go.
I thought you were joking, but hey, let's talk some ball here. Let's talk some soccer.
Let's do it.
Well, ball talk.
But I don't know. You want to talk about the conference championship first?
Okay.
We can. Sure.
It's our fearless host.
All right. So it was championship weekend, and the Big Ten champions, Washington, and it's all on the it's all on the website, by the way. But yeah, John, you wanted to talk about this, so go ahead.
Well, I obviously think it's important to talk about any championships happening in the soccer world, specifically in college. And there's a lot of college champions crowned this week, and we're still getting to all of them. But Big Ten being one of them, Washington winning their championship. It was an emotional week for Washington. They had their goalkeeper, a goalkeeper on their team that passed away here due to cancer this past week, and Amia Hamant was the goalkeeper. That article also available on our website as well. But they won in penalties yesterday over Michigan State and the Spartans in St. Louis. And again, it came off of big goalkeeper saves. And they're Big Ten champions here this year in the 2025 fall season. And so, obviously, congratulations to Washington. Because they win the Big Ten, right? They get an automatic berth into the NCAA tournament. We'll talk about that because later this afternoon at 4:00, the NCAA will actually be live streaming the draw on NCAA.com. And so we'll get into that here as well.
And then someone that was on our show at some point.
Yeah, Milwaukee Kevin Boyd was on our show, and this is their 8th consecutive Horizon League Women's College, championship, right? And so, which again, that in itself is extremely impressive to do it 8 times in a row. I mean, I can't think of a dynasty that's 8 times. I mean, we can look at a lot of things, but what are some dynasties in sports right now, you've won it 8 consecutive times. Now, I'm not talking about, winning it once every 2 or 3 or 4 times in a row and then having one then going, 9 out of 11 or 8 out of 10. This is 8 consecutive wins in a row. I mean, I can't think of a sports dynasty. You said the Dodgers have won it 8 in a row?
No, I'm saying they're about to.
About to do what, 8 in a row?
It's more of an early Celtics type thing. It's more of an early Celtics type run.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, just winning Kansas City's won their division a ton. I don't know how many it's been in a row, but I mean, that you could argue that they probably won that many. I would put that 8 consecutive Horizon League tournament champions. It's one thing to win your regular season conference, but then go on and win the tournament. I mean, that's a whole other thing, right? And so it's impressive. 8 consecutive wins for them. And congratulations to Milwaukee and the Panthers.
Yep. And then sorry, Nick, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I was actually watching back some of our clips from that interview that we had with Kevin Boyd and just talking to him about, creating the standard at Milwaukee. And, he had mentioned that, when you get that taste for winning, it's almost like, imagine the analogy of like pushing a snowball uphill. Right, everything you do to build a program is pushing that snowball up the hill, and it's going to get heavier, and it's going to get heavier, and you're going to have stuff that tests you. But once you get to the top of that hill and you understand what it looks like, and you create this machine, you just kind of push it down the hill and you just let it roll. Right, you just let it roll down that hill and build momentum, and that's exactly where we are right now with Milwaukee. There's no mid-major that can even touch this team in the women's game, and that's the standard that they've created. On the Washington side, that's a great storyline too. Losing a teammate and them fighting back, and especially in really a grinded out kind of match against Michigan State. That could have gone either way, but congratulations to the Huskies. That was awesome to see. And obviously when you're playing with heavy hearts, good to finish that way. But yeah, Milwaukee, 8 straight. I'm not sure what the comparison is. I mean, I'm sure there are some other comparisons that we can make. Early Celtics, maybe the Lakers, probably will be the Dodgers at some. They'll probably win 8 straight, and whatever. But they've made the standard in the Horizon League.
Yep. And moving on to the Metro Atlantic.
Oh, real quick here, the Atlanta Braves, by the way, hold the longest record in consecutive division titles. It was 14 from 1991 to 2005. The New York Yankees had 9 consecutive AL East titles. Patriots had 11 consecutive AFC East titles.
Makes sense.
This is interesting. Cleveland Browns had 6 consecutive division titles from 1950 to 1955.
That makes sense.
Heck yeah.
You mentioned the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, they had 8 consecutive championships. And then 9 consecutive division titles were the Los Angeles Lakers. So, I mean, you think about that. That's in... You can have that kind of conversation when we're talking about Milwaukee Panthers in the mid-major, in the Horizon League. I mean, to win it 8 times in a row. Again, it's we could argue about going out and winning 4 out of 5. How difficult that could be. Going out and winning 2 out of 4. I mean, those are doing that. Winning back-to-back championship like the Dodgers just did. Winning that back-to-back is no easy feat, regardless how many talented players you have.
Right.
I think this moment of 8 consecutive is something that I think will go down as probably one of the greatest consecutive streaks in collegiate sports, because to win it 8 years in a row, I'm sorry, that's phenomenal. I think we should, again, hats off to Kevin Boyd and that program. They're pretty good.
And I go back to that question that you asked him, and you asked a lot of coaches this similar question at similar sized programs, like, are you a destination school? Or are you someone that sees a lot of players that move on to higher levels that played at this program and are now at, like a TCU or a North Carolina or somewhere else in the college landscape? And I remember him being like, no, like, this is a place where you come and you play for 4 years. This is a place that you come and you make your career at Milwaukee. This isn't just a stepping stone. And that's so cool to see out of a mid-major too, because that's not really the case. I mean, we see a lot of programs that, they'll be there for a year and then they get passed over for someone bigger. That's not the case at all in Milwaukee. He's made a destination out of that program. So it's cool to see from them.
Absolutely. Another mid-major to speak about here this weekend, we had another coach on our show, and Lewis Robinson. Western Michigan captured their 2nd straight MAC tournament title, doing so here at the historic Columbus Crew Stadium on Friday evening. They did so with I believe it was 1-0 was the final score
against Chris Fox, who was also on our show.
Yep, against Chris Fox. Bowling Green, right, is who they end up playing. Lewis Robinson is a phenomenal leader. We've had a chance to talk to him on the show. I've had a chance. We're texting back and forth on Friday after you won. It's funny, actually. I go, I'm gonna need another quote for one of our stories. He's like, ha ha ha, I might be out of them, because after you won Coach of the Year, it's like you won the regular season tournament, right? It's like, how do you? what do you do here? He's a coach of the year. They had a coaching staff of the year as well. And so Western Michigan continue to do great things. Again, punching their ticket into the NCAA tournament as well. And that would be their second consecutive time doing that. But kudos to Western Michigan, the Broncos, on winning that MAC championship here on Friday. Speaking of, it was snowing here. You can see some snow out there on the ground behind me. And speaking of snow, Sacred Heart captures their first ever Mid-Atlantic Athletic Conference championship.
In the MAC.
And they as Ryan says, the MAC. But they won it in a snow-covered pitch. We have another story I'm sure we'll talk about in regards to some Canadian soccer here this weekend as well. But yes, they are the champion of the Metro Atlantic, that conference. Again, 13 saves in the tournament MVP honors to the goalkeeper in Kyron Thavan. Turning championship performance, 13 saves in one game. But penalty kick drama, the game ended obviously with 3-3 after 5 rounds of penalties. And Burnett buried her shot to give SHU the advantage. Then Thavan then sealed the victory with a diving save to her right and giving them that victory. This is a Division I program, so they will make their way into the NCAA tournament here as well. We'll find out more about that here later this afternoon, about what they'll be playing. And then SEC. Vanderbilt captures the SEC championship in a penalty kick thriller. A lot of penalty kicks this weekend. Again, this was in Pensacola, Florida. They were down 1-0 in the 25th minute from LSU's Gabby Caballos. And then they end up coming back. And they end up looking at the stats here, apologize. Double overtime drama. I mean, there's just a lot. Again, if you want to take a look at the stories, it's all available on nationalsoccernetwork.com. But again, Vanderbilt in penalties wins that game and make their way into the NCAA tournament. We will continue to highlight champions who are crowned here over the next couple of days. All the men's tournaments start to pick up here this week. Big Ten will get underway this week. Horizon currently underway. They had their quarterfinals yesterday, and their semis and finals will take place, I believe, Thursday and Saturday this week. Or Thursday and Sunday. How would they do that? So, yeah. But there's all the champions. I mean, some good soccer this weekend here around the country.
And I talked about, Western Michigan really as an athletic department. It's crazy to see.
Don't give them love.
They're doing right now. No, I am going to give them love because they deserve all the love in the world. They got a top 3 hockey team in the country right now.
Michigan,
their women's soccer team. I get it. Yeah, but that's Michigan. Their women's soccer team is obviously amazing. Lewis Robinson, and just from a personality perspective, like in terms of some of the best personalities that we've talked to, I think Lewis Robinson is certainly up there. He has a very dry sense of humor, but you can tell he connects really well. And he has a home there at Western Michigan. You did get roasted by him a little bit, but that's okay.
One of my favorite moments on the show so far.
Comes with the territory in that rivalry. So, yeah, really outside of the blemish from Western Michigan basketball losing to Northwood, which personally I loved. I love seeing non-D1 teams beat D1 teams. But outside of that, I think that athletic department is taking strides in the right direction. Also, shout out Josh Rebant, who's their director of recruiting for their baseball team, longtime contact of mine in the baseball scene. But they're doing some great things in KZoo.
That they are. And but that's our champions that we talked about here. We'll continue to update the website and our social media with all the updated champions throughout the day today. We'll also announce and share the bracket once that is published here later this afternoon as well. But when we come back here from break, what we got on tap here, Ryan?
So I'm currently finishing up the Blizzard goal. Just got a photo of it, and I think it looks sweet. That's a first-time champion in the CPL. And then, we can still go from there. Captain Sullivan made some news this weekend. Weston McKinney also in the news. And did you know? I don't know if you guys know, but Gio Reyna making the November camp roster.
Yeah, we'll talk about the roster as well here today. Why not get into that as well? Because they had their first November matchup here tomorrow night. We'll get into that as well. But don't go anywhere. Inside the Game continues here on this Monday morning, number 186.
Are you ready to create unforgettable moments for your audience? NSN offers professional live streaming and full broadcast services tailored to your needs. From high-quality production to exceptional coverage, we ensure your game or event becomes a spectacle to remember. Book your next game with us today. Call 586-304-4405 to schedule your broadcast and let NSN bring the action to life like never before.
Welcome back here to Inside the Game here on this Monday morning. Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wengler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. And it was announced here on Thursday afternoon, the U.S. men's national team November roster. We'll dive into that here in just a moment. If it's your first time stopping by, hit the subscribe button, like us, share this with your friends and family, and make sure you come back each and every day. Unless, of course, we get tired. Maybe we'll take a day off. Hey, we all need our breaks, right? We all need our breaks. But with that being said, the roster was announced, and there was some intrigue and some I guess things we maybe expected with this roster, and things maybe we didn't expect with this roster. And on your screen there, you can see them right there. Your four goalkeepers: FC Cincinnati's goalkeeper and Roman Celentano, Matt Freese, Jonathan Klinsmann, and Patrick Schulte all made the November camp. Obviously left off is Matt Turner. Now, Matt Turner, I know, is battling an injury right now. But again, we talked about this a little bit on Wednesday or on Thursday morning. We talked about the fact that Matt Turner, man, might be looking from the outside in now at this point. I mean, I'm not saying he's not going to make this roster. But if you're Pochettino, you've seen Matt Freese now a bunch. We're going to see him start here again tomorrow, I'd imagine. I mean, is Matt Freese the goalkeeper? We'll obviously get into that here, obviously, a little bit more down the way, but I think it's a question we should definitely be asking ourselves. Defenders, though, Arston, Dest, Freeman, McKenzie, Ream, Robinson, Scally, Tolkien, and Trusty. Anything surprising there on this roster, Ryan?
I'm still fixing. Go to Nate first. I'm fixing something.
I think obviously a lot of people are out due to injury, so I mean that's a little concerning. We talked about some of the names that were missing on that list. Zendejas isn't on there. Obviously, we know about Christian Pulisic and his situation. Malik Tillman is nursing an injury. Matt Turner is nursing an injury. So a lot of this isn't, you can't really be frustrated at Mauricio Pochettino or the U.S. men's national team if there are some names on this list that aren't there. A lot of them are battling certain ailments. I also believe Weston McKennie isn't on there either. So we see that he's not on the list. So there are a few names that are certainly missing on there. Obviously, you see the graphic right in front of you. The biggest question mark is Gio Reyna. And I understand he's only 22 years old. And I think it's good to keep that perspective when we talk about Gio, because I know that everything that happened in the 22 World Cup was, it was a bad look, but he was 18 years old. But I asked the question yesterday on social media because I am genuinely curious. I don't know what Gio Reyna is, right? Because he's a good soccer player. Clearly, if he's rostered in one of the best leagues in the world, he's not bad. But he's also not great. I don't know if he's lived up to some of the hype that people have given him. And now, mind you, and people reminded me of this on social media, not everybody crowned him, right? There were certain people that looked at him and crowned him and went, okay, this kid is the future. He's a part of this next crop, these upcoming American players who are really going to make waves. And he just simply hasn't done that on the international level. But, we had a few good comments on that video on TikTok, and I thought Gunner, who commented, actually had a really good point. He said off-field drama, attitude, and insane soccer parents have all affected him. Obviously, we know that. We've seen that. But he thinks that parents have held him back because they think he's the best in the world and think they know more than any of the managers. And I think that's kind of where Gio's gotten lost in the sauce a little bit, because he was good, did have a lot of potential early on, but then got sidetracked by a lot of that, a lot of the politicking and a lot of that stuff. So can he show anything to us in this November window is my biggest question mark in my mind. Obviously, I want to see him win games. I want to see him look competitive and everything. But now I think we're looking at individual players closer than maybe what we were before. We wanted to see them win some games, especially coming off of everything that happened during the summer and how bad they looked. Okay, they've won some games. Now who do we have? And also, to your question that you said on an earlier show, is Gio Reyna capable of taking someone's position on this team? Like, who, if you were to take one person off of this roster, hypothetically, if you were to have your best collection of players, who does Gio Reyna step in front of? He has to show that he's capable to even be on the roster in this November window. So, yeah. But a few other comments on this. We can get to all that here in a moment. But, I just think he's the one that I'm looking at most heavily in this window.
Yeah, I think it's a great question to ask. And we talked about this at length on Thursday morning, at least towards the end of our show, about Reyna and about the possibility of him being on this roster. I know that Ryan and yourself both felt like, hey, he needs to have it. Now's the chance, right? And obviously, I think due to injuries, and I think that, again, with this really being the window to see any player that has a fighting chance, this is it, right? Because this is it. And so, but the question, which is a great question, is who would he step in front of? I don't know if there's a player right now who we've seen over the last 6 months that Reyna would step in front of who's not on this roster right now, right? I don't, just based on what we've seen, body of work. I know we've talked about him being better than Luna. Okay, we can argue that, but if we're talking about it from the perspective of Luna versus Reyna right now, I don't know if we're not in disagreement about this. I think we all agree that it would be Luna right now. Like right now. If you're telling me it's Reyna or Luna, yeah. I think we can all agree, just based on what we've seen from Luna, good, bad, or indifferent, has been far and away better than what we've seen from Reyna, even though we have not seen Reyna on this team in some time. So I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, let me ask you this. I mean, if we're talking about American players coming back to the United States after the World Cup, is there any chance that Gio Reyna eventually decides, hey, he's just going to come back and play in the United States? I mean, I saw a comment underneath that video that said he would be an MLS star, but he's going to be on the bench in the top end European leagues.
So to that point, he actually had an interview about that, and he said that the MLS has never crossed his mind. He says he does not want to go back there. He said he heard all the rumors and he heard all the noise about it, but he said personally that he does not want to go into the MLS right now, and he wants to continue to fight for a spot in Germany or whatever he ends up going, but he wants to stick in Europe.
Yeah, because that'd be really hard to go back, and we've heard that from players too. Like, if you come back to the U.S., it's harder to break back into the scene over in England as opposed to staying there and just trying to battle it out and
that would be a sign of maturity, by the way, because again, it'd be real easy for an athlete who has not seen playing time to say, "I want to come home." Right? Yeah. Gio Reyna is not is not right now a player that is considered to be an integral part, right, of his current team, right? Borussia Mönchengladbach, right? He's not. That's not. I wouldn't say he's integral. Now, does he play? Yeah, of course. But could this team, do they need him? No. Now, if he came back to the MLS, I would argue that he would be needed. He'd be a starting 11 player every single game, right? We talk about talent all the time. And so I think that he has something to prove right now, which is it's a good thing for him to go out there and do that. So will we see him towards the tail end of his career? Absolutely, we will. He'll come back here? Yeah,
they all will.
So I mean, I think that won't be an issue at all. But again, the question of the day is not the question of the day in the sense that we're going to have the question of the day. This isn't it. But would Reyna replace someone on the existing who we think to be the potential 2026 World Cup roster. Would he be on there? Now, is he a bubble player? Now, we could argue here there's 26 spots. Is he in the conversation of 30? Is he in that conversation for 30?
Yep.
I say
all
absolutely.
I know is that,
but is he in 26 right now?
All I know is that this is his last chance. Like, and I saw someone say that on social. I thought that was a really good point. Maybe not from a talent perspective. Again, from a raw talent, physical attributes, all those other things. Like, he's probably on the international level when it comes to comparing him to some of the other players. But from a team and personality and training and culture perspective, in my mind, this is Gio Reyna's last chance. So can he fit into that group? Absolutely he can. I don't think I have any doubts from a playmaking perspective that Gio is on the same level as many of the other players on this U.S. men's national team. But that's where those other parts of the conversation really start to matter. Like, how do you mesh with the group? How do you get along with everybody? Does the team get better when you're on the field? Because someone else said in my comments, and when he was playing with Holland, he was very good when he had him by his side, but all of a sudden he leaves the club and Gio kind of comes back to earth. Is he just one of those players that feeds off of better players around him? Because if that's the case, then I just don't know how well he's going to fit into this U.S. men's national team. But like I said, I do think he's a good player, but from all those other things, and I heard Taylor Twellman say this the other day on a live show as well. I believe it was his own show. But from a culture and in a locker room perspective, this is Gio's last chance. This is Gio's last chance this window. And so that's again, from my perspective, that's what I'm focused on.
No, I agree. I think this is it, and curious how he'll be used. Because again, we've seen how Diego Luna has been used, and so if you're Pochettino, are you going to start a Diego Luna this camp, and have Reyna come in off the bench, or are you going to have a Reyna start and have Luna come in? We've seen Luna in a coming off the bench role. And I actually think he's been better coming off the bench. He's more impactful. He's had moments where you're like, okay, I like that 10 minutes from Luna. I don't know if I like the 75 minutes of Luna. You know what I mean? I like that 10, 15, 20 minutes of Luna better. And I think that we can probably all agree on that as well. And so maybe we'll see that from Reyna. If Reyna can come off the bench and be a 16th player on the roster during the World Cup, I could see that. I could absolutely see that. If he can find a way in this camp tomorrow night and this next matchup to go out there and again, for 15 or 20 minutes, create some havoc, create chances, good passing decisions, good playmaking ability. If those things can happen in this window, I think you'll see what he's capable of, and then ultimately will he make the roster? That's obviously not for us to decide, but I think it gives him a way better chance. But I know you typically have a lot more to say about this, Ryan.
Sorry, I was making some stuff. I had to adjust the graphic, and then I was currently trying to figure. So when I was doing the little snow thing, there was like no information on who actually scored that goal. So I did a little bit of digging, but I found it. So I would say, so this camp for me personally, the results I don't think matter as much as it did in previous ones. And I say this because it depends on the way it looks, to me more importantly, because there's a couple big names not on this one. There's no Wes McKennie. There's no Chris Richards. There's no Christian Pulisic. There's no Anthony Robinson. So to me, this is kind of like not all fringe players, but there's a good chunk of fringe players and a good chunk of bench players on this roster. And to me, I'm looking for a couple of things. One, who's going to be our center back to pair next to Chris Richards? Is that Tim Ream? Is that Mark McKenzie? I know Carter Vickers is out, but he was kind of in that mix. Another one is who's going to be that creative player in the number 10 role that we could potentially rely on? I know Malik Tillman's not in this one, and I think Gio Reyna could slot into that number 10. I still agree with you, John, that it should be Christian Pulisic in the number 10 role, but that doesn't seem to be the way that it's going to play out. I also want to see what Joe Scally brings to this team. I know that I think Pochettino's kind of figured out what formation he wants to play, and it's that 3-5-2. So Scally, how does he look in a wing-back role? I don't think Tim Weah is on this roster either. Am I wrong on that? I don't think Tim Weah is on this one.
No, I'm looking at it right now, though. He's not.
Okay, so Tim Weah, that's another right. He played right wing back a couple of times with Marseille, and he played it once with the USA. So I'm kind of just looking at the way that it kind of looks and what players are going to step up. And what players are going to go out there, make that extra pass, make that extra run, score a goal. And another thing that I also want to see is the strikers. I still think Balogun is our starter, but I want to see who's going to be our option off the bench. Who's going to be our Haji Wright? Who's it going to be Pepe? Is it going to be Wright? Who's going to be that one? And I know Pepe's been clutch in certain spots, and that's kind of what you want in your starting striker role. But I want to see what players are going to step up. Again, Paraguay, not the greatest team in the world, but Uruguay. Who's going to step up in that game to give us a victory potentially, or at least give us a shot to win that game? And that's who I'm really looking forward to, is who is going to step up in those big time spots and in those voids.
No, it's a great point, and I think that again, you know, I would argue that Pochettino knows at least who his 18 or 19 players are going to be.
If he doesn't, then we got an issue.
Yeah, and so again, you're trying to figure out those last 7, 8, 9 players, right? Who's gonna be that? And again, to be fair, those really are more designed to help make the other 18 better, right? That those 6, you're gonna have 3 goalkeepers, right? So let's just, you know, right, you're gonna bring 3 goalies, and so you have 23 players, right? And so again, looking at that, you know, who are they going to be? And so there's 4 or 5 players in here that he's trying to figure out. And again, if Luna and Reyna are on the same playing level, right? Who would you pick? And to be fair, as a former coach myself, I would argue that Reyna probably brings more to the table, right? In his youthfulness, also in what he's getting across the pond, his training. But the intangible right now, the thing that we've seen from Luna, which you really can't be measured, is his work rate, his physicality, his intensity.
It's a high energy motorboater.
Yeah, that's right. You still have it from. That's right. But with that being said, again, the thing that is the most. And we talked about this at length on Thursday, for Reyna specifically, as young as he is, and as young as he was 4 years ago at 18 years old, you know, will that moment, will that hinder him in his ability to be on this team this year? And I think that if you're putting Luna and Reyna, depending upon how he performs his window, I think that will determine that might just be the X factor, or this moment might be the thing that why he won't make the team, is what happened in the past. But let's keep this conversation going here, talking about now the forwards. We talked about defenders. We did talk about Reyna and what he's doing as far as how he got picked up here. But Tyler Adams, Berhalter, Morris, Roldan, Tessman, and Zwadziecki. I think I pronounced that right. But again, those are the midfielders coming here into camp this week and this month. Again, you know, we talked about Reyna. We've seen Berhalter now a number of times. It's starting to seem like Berhalter is going to make this team.
Oh, boy.
Right. I mean, again, we've seen him at every camp over the last, and we saw him in the Gold Cup, right?
Yes.
And so clearly, Pochettino loves him. And again, I mean, does he? I mean, would you say that Berhalter is better than Reyna? I mean, could Berhalter go across the pond and play like, you know? I mean, you know, I mean, is he better? I mean, he's clearly getting the looks.
Yeah, I don't know, Ryan. What do you think?
Berhalter? No, dude, this guy sucks. No, I don't want again. There's like, so back before the 2022 World Cup, there was a player. I forgot who said this exactly, but he said, because at the time Paul Arriola was kind of like in the mix all the time to make the roster, and I don't think he made the 2022 World Cup roster, but he goes, if Arriola is playing meaningful minutes for us in the World Cup or in the future, we're gonna have issues. And that's not discrediting the player, but as a nation and as a national team, he cannot be playing meaningful minutes for us. And he can come off the bench, sure, but if he's starting for us, then we have massive issues. If Berhalter is playing meaningful minutes for us in the World Cup, nope, we're not making it out of the group stage. Like, we're not making it past the round of 16, I'll tell you that. If this guy's playing meaningful minutes for us, we have a much bigger issue, and I would say my expectation for the World Cup would go down if he's playing actual meaningful minutes.
And that's again why I asked this question about, you know, like some of these players might just, because some of these players will never see the World Cup starting the 18, right? They'll never see game day 18. So there's players who will be there for training, Like their whole job is just to make players better. Is Berhalter a player that while in that moment, because again, I don't know the specifics behind what you're allowed to do in training and how you bring players in, but my guess is that World Cup roster 26, it's set. You can't do anything else. You can't bring other training players in, right? That's your team. And so are there players you're bringing in who are like those who could come out if we needed to, but are really they're designed to be that workhorse to really challenge these players in training so that they can be prepared for the World Cup? And is Berhalter one of those players?
Yeah, it could be the case, especially with him playing in the midfield. I mean, like we talked about, like we're missing some key pieces. So I don't think he's taking anybody's spot. He does have a couple of assists in 5 games with the U.S. men's national team, but I don't think he's one of the guys. I do think we have missing players, that this list is not complete, but you're right. He has been a part of it. And I think it's okay to say that maybe some of that, or a lot of that, all that is kind of the nepotism of the game. And we've seen it time and time again with the U.S. men's national team, and people mention it, even players that have been on the team once upon a time, not to name names, but they have also said the same exact thing. And so I think some of that is the reason why Sebastian Berhalter's in that position. Obviously 2 assists in 5 games is not a groundbreaking stat for him, but he does have a couple of them. But I'm curious, are we more upset because of the last name, or are we upset because we think he's just an MLS player and he's not really at that level when it comes to the U.S. men's national team? Like which one is it? Because I look at another player in that position. That's fair. You could say that. But I look at Christian Roldan.
I think for the MLS, I think he's sufficient. But on the international
he's
stage,
an all-star.
I think the problem is, and obviously the last name is what got him in the door.
Yeah, it doesn't sit well with people.
Yeah. So I think nepotism has something to do with it. That's why I said this before. I said that, there's you're telling me there's not a better player in America that could be equal to that same level from Berhalter. I would argue that there's probably other players who are close, if not, even maybe a step ahead than Berhalter. But the reason why he is there is probably because he's been around U.S. soccer because of his father.
Yeah.
Right. And so, again, we can argue that all day long. And while sometimes people will say, well, it's a blessing, it's a curse at the same time, right? Because here you are, you're around. I mean, you can see the likes of a lot of people who are over the years, their kids play. Look at LeBron James's son, right? I mean, same thing,
Bronny
right?
shouldn't be.
Right. I mean, so they're perfect examples, right? I mean, so we can go on and on about nepotism, but at the end of the day, can he stand on his own? And, he had moments of success on the team. Yeah. Were there other players that, if given the same opportunity, could have also had those moments of success? I would argue that they could. I just don't believe that Sebastian Berhalter is the best option that we have at that position or in those positions. But again, we're not the coaches. We don't get to decide this shit. But do I think that he might make this 26-man roster? At this point, I absolutely do.
Yeah,
I absolutely think he might have. He has a fighting chance. He's continuing to be on this roster. And again, he's probably 20. Now the rookie is, will he actually be on one of the 18? And that in itself would be somewhat curious. Who knows? Maybe it was like one of those things. Hey guys, as Berhalter was on his way out the door, they're like, "Hey, I'm not going to spill some beans. This guy's going to be on the roster." Right? I'm not going to write a memoir about what happened here. Put him on the roster for 26. Who knows?
That's definitely not out of the picture.
It's not.
Yep.
But let's talk about the forwards here for this camp. Brendan Aronson, Balogun, Luna, Pepe, Haji Wright. Right, those are your 5 forwards. Nothing really surprising here. I know Pepe is made his way. We talked about a pep in our step here on Thursday as well. But, again, we're missing some players, and it's going to allow other players to step in. It's going to also allow players who maybe already been there a chance maybe to shine too. Balogun shined in the previous 2 camps, and so the 2 windows. I would like to see much of the same
3 goals in his
from him
last
as
4
well.
games with AS Monaco. He has 3 goals in his last 4 matches. So, yeah, he's been looking really good with the club side. So, the combo of him and what can we see out of Haji Wright too? Again, this next time out looked really good against Australia. So I thought he certainly showed us something in that match too. It's fun to look at that we got a couple of different strikers that we're kind of weighing out right now as to like who's our guy. It's a fun little game to play as American soccer fans, but also just like looking at the fact that we're so much deeper now as a soccer playing country than what we were before. Yes, I know we're not on the same level as a France or an England or an Italy. We don't have to beat this point into the ground, but goodness gracious, compared to where we were when the World Cup first came around, we're a little bit better. We're a little bit further along than what we were there. So it's just fun to kind of weigh out these options and see who we got.
I agree. We are at 9:55 here this morning. What's our question of the day? I know we're gonna. Well, let's show what you worked on. I know you were working hard here behind the scenes, Ryan. Let's not show you what you were working on. Some things happening in the Canadian Premier League here this weekend. It was a snowy time. It seems like all across the North America. It seems like.
Yeah. So this game actually took social media this little play took social media by storm yesterday. This happened in the Canadian Premier League finals, the North Cup Star Trophy or whatever it is. But we can't show the video, but we can show this picture, and I think that is just wonderful. That's just a great shot. This is from the bicycle kick goal in the 40th minute by David Rodriguez. Rodriguez would actually score the winner in the 107th minute. This is Ottawa's first ever North Star Cup trophy, and I did a little extra digging. And this is that yesterday there was 4.6 inches of snow, which actually broke a record for November 9th, their history on November 9th of snowfall back in 1987. So they received 4.5 inches of snow. I'm sure they're used to more. So yesterday probably was just a little, not as much as they are expecting. But I still think snow in sports, football, and soccer is just a wonderful feature, and I thought that's just a great shot.
How about in baseball?
I don't think it happens in... Oh, no, Miguel Cabrera did hit a home run in the snow back in like 2020, 2021.
Yeah. There you go.
I was at that game, actually. So that's the only reason I remember.
The season can start with snow and it can end with snow, right? And so...
It could, but if the Dodgers are in the finals every single year, not really.
That's fair. So there we go. This Canadian Premier League having some snow on the pitch here to end their season. Let's take a look here at the question of the day.
Question of the day, but before we do, Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. This one has nothing to do with sports. I'll tell you that right now. But it's an anniversary day for us here in Michigan, the 50th. How are you guys going to honor the Edmund Fitzgerald today? How you going to do it?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I got to blare the song, first of all. I can't believe I haven't done that yet. I've seen a lot of people paying their respects as of late. And then, what was it, 29 members that were lost on the Edmund Fitzgerald? I believe it was 29,
I think so.
I think that was the correct number. So then I'm going to drink 29 beers to celebrate those guys. So
that's awesome. 29. 29. That's
29.
Awesome,
that's our new number, actually. So, yep, that's how I'm celebrating. But yeah, the gales of November remember, boys, and they always do. So, be careful if you're ever sailing out there. A little deep water fishing or whatever. Be careful.
So 1975 is when this took place, right? November 10th, 1975. Obviously, Lake Superior here in Michigan. So you said 29, right? 29 crew members obviously lost their lives. There were no survivors. Obviously, this is a very, very impactful moment here for the state of Michigan. As far as what how I'm honoring today, I don't know if I had anything on the docket to honor today. I'll be 100% honest with you.
You have to be ashamed.
After this, we plan on going down to Michigan Stars and breaking down some scaffolding. So maybe when we get out there, we'll take a moment as we're taking down the scaffolding.
A moment of silence.
You stand on the turf field and let's have a moment of silence.
It's terrible, and it goes down as one of the greatest shipwrecks I think in the history of our country. They did obviously find where the shipwreck is. Correct? They have found it. I know that there's been like ones that they've never found. Still, even in lakes like Lake Superior. But
and it doesn't break down because it's freshwater.
The Fitzgerald ship bell was recovered in 1995, and here it is. It rung 29 times, one for each crew member lost. That's a tradition that happens every November 10th in observance of the shipwreck, which takes place in the the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum in Whitefish Point, Michigan. So, but it's a good question.
It's big. It's big here in the state of Michigan, and I feel like it's only gotten bigger in the last couple of years through like social media and the TikTok memes and all the different memes. So,
and tomorrow,
Rogue waves
we
are
have
the
10th, but
craziest.
tomorrow is Veterans Day.
Yeah. But
So-
rogue waves are the craziest thing ever. I don't think I could ever be like those guys who do like deadliest catch, like catching the crabs. I don't think I could ever do that. Like literally, those rogue waves can get up to like 100 feet tall and just like appear out of nowhere in the pitch dark and like split a ship in half. Like, no thanks, I'm all right. I'll take my chances on land wherever that may happen to be.
No doubt. We will that will do it here for episode number 186. I'll be back here tomorrow morning, Veterans Day, the 11th day of November, and we'll be on episode number 187 here tomorrow. And again, don't forget to subscribe, like us, share this with your friends and family. Come back here each and every day as we are live on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Roku, and YouTube. But for Ryan Glinsky, Nathan Wengler, I'm Jonathan Turner. Don't forget to come back here tomorrow morning. Same time, same place here on Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network, number 187. Back here tomorrow morning. So long, everybody. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wengler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.